Hey guys, today I'm here with Tom Palladino, holistic medical expert, scalar energy researcher, and humanitarian, all super cool stuff. And we're hanging out in his laboratory, so I'm hoping he's going to show us some things. You want to go ahead
Thanks.
and tell people what you're all about?
Sure. Thanks so much for the invitation, Savannah, to speak to your audience. My name is Tom Palladino. As you mentioned, we're going to speak about energy, the energy of the sun and the stars, what I call scalar light.
Okay.
It's a it's a new branch of physics, and I am essentially working with this new branch of physics that's not electricity. And I've developed and perfected instruments, scalar light instruments, to can control this energy, harness this energy, control it, and then put it to good use. And we'll explain that as we get into this interview. So we're going to speak about scalar light, a new branch of physics.
So, okay, are we talking about the same type of energy that we use for like energy healing and Reiki and terahertz frequencies, that kind of stuff?
There's no hertz to this. So I would say many people who have healing hands or the ability with some God given ability to heal, that's light, that's energy from God. And how does that heal? It's really divine intelligence. It's God's intelligence. So that's the key to my work. There's no human reasoning with this. Is once I turn on this instrument, the energy does the work. The light is the healing component. So there is a similarity, yes, again, with people with healing hands. People sometimes have the ability to heal by word or by suggestion. That too is that form of, I believe, light energy.
So are we working with like vibration and frequency?
There's no frequency, and I'll tell you why. There's no cycles per second. There's no time. This is timeless energy. In other words, with a scalar energy consideration, time is always in the present moment. Time is not in the past or in the future. There's only one moment in the present moment. And the energy is everywhere. So you don't deliver the energy. This energy is omnipresent. So to use another term for scalar energy, it might be omnipresence of God. Or scalar energy could be considered by some as uh, Christ consciousness.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, if you will, a rather expansive thought to consider that there is an energy that permeates the universe instantaneously, that nothing prevents it from propagating, from, if you will, being evenly distributed throughout the universe. It is present in the universe everywhere. So it really is this omnipresence, what some people might call consciousness, Christ consciousness. Others might call it 0 point energy. It's a new branch of physics, once again, that we have to explore. It's very real, it is valid, and I have instruments that prove its validity.
So like the universal field theory.
Yes, with the universal field theory. Yes. And what does that mean? As the name implies, the universe is filled with some type of force field. It pre-exists. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, that's what we seek to tap into with the Reiki and the energy healing and all of that. So you mentioned the planets earlier in the sun. We're not talking about astrology though, but maybe we are. I don't know. It all is kind of the same thing underneath it all. If everything is a part of this universal field, we're all just representations of the consciousness in its various physical forms.
I agree. I agree. So let's look at this from a fundamental viewpoint. Where does energy light originate from? The sun and the stars. All of the stars of the universe are the points of origin, the storehouses for energy, light. So that is the, if you will, the origin for all activity, the stars. Now, from that point, if we look at the stars as being the center of intelligence, or this, if you will, this broadcast of energy, the universal field theory then comes into play. Why? The universe is filled with stars. So it supports itself that we're working with this new type of, well, this new type of physics, if you will, in which everything originates from that divine source, including what some people might call the ability to predict the future. There is truth to the fact that the stars tell the future. Why? They hold energy, they hold information. So there is truth to astrology. But I don't think modern day man can understand the billions upon billions of galaxies and how all of that information, all of that intelligence predicts the future.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than any of us really understand. And we think we know, but we don't actually know. And
Right.
I like to talk a lot about how the fact that we still are on a person by person scale so egotistical about things or so insecure about things shows us just how vast we're lacking in the understanding of how big everything is.
You're right. What we don't know, we don't know. If
Sure.
you consider the universe billions upon billions, trillions of galaxies, and within those galaxies are trillions upon trillions of stars, now consider that each star broadcasts some type of intelligence or some type of instructions. Well, that's mind-boggling.
Mm.
That's the point of my instrument. These are scalar energy instruments. They act like a miniature star. I'm going to demonstrate.
Yes, please.
This instrument is operating right now. It's not an electrical instrument. It's so powerful. If I hold a light bulb in my hand, it will illuminate when I place the light bulb close by. So the point is that these are miniature stars broadcasting intelligence, information. Now, with information intelligence, I can improve soul, mind, and body. What some people can do with their hands, healing hands, to improve soul, mind, and body, I can use an instrument with light to improve our benefit, soul, mind, and body. This is the key to my research. There's no guesswork. I'm working with fundamental forces of the universe, scalar light, scalar energy. I work with an instrument that can, if you will, be engineered and programmed to do so. It's not a psychic event, it's an engineered instrument.
So, similar to what Tesla was working with,
Exactly.
exactly the same thing what he was working with.
Well, at least in concept, no, nobody's like Tesla. I don't compare myself to Tesla. But Tesla was right. And Tesla later in his life was working with scalar energy. He called it radiant energy. If you look closely, Tesla was not working with electricity later in his life. He was working with free energy. His instruments did not have moving parts because the energy, the kinetic energy, was from the stars. If you have a motor, an induction motor, that motor creates the energy, the kinetic energy, the motion. What Tesla's later inventions did not have motors. What motor was he using? The stars. My instrument, you can see, has no moving parts.
So, are we
I am,
working with magnetics or break it down like we're in second grade? Talk to us like we're second graders.
it's very simple. This instrument can start with current, an electrical current, and that's what I work with. And I can convert it into scalar energy. Once it's converted into scalar energy through this instrument, I have a force field of scalar energy. The universal force field is right here, right behind my shoulder. And it's unique because it's a different environment than that of electromagnetic energy. Scalar energy is not electricity. So in my laboratory, I can do incredible things with this instrument that I cannot do outside of this environment. So to demonstrate to your audience, what do I mean? These instruments work with photographs of people. Before I get into it, remember, scalar energy is not magnetism or electricity. This is my photo. My photo has energy. My force field is on that photograph. I place my photograph inside the instrument. My photograph is now immersed in the universal force field, the scalar energy environment. I can feel that energy right now in my frontal cortex here. I can feel that energy. It's tingling through my photograph. At least I can feel it. I work with people around the world through photographs, but it's not a biological process. I access not their flesh and blood, I access their aura, their force field. Now, most people who are advanced healers realize there's a biological realm, sure, and then there's an etheric realm or a non physical realm or the realm of consciousness. That's the realm I work in. I'm not a medical professional. I don't work at the medical level, at the biological level. I work it through photographs of force fields, energy fields. It's a higher order.
Okay. Is your machine freestanding?
Yes, yes, it is.
Cool.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So it's not plugged up to anything.
No, no. Well, with the exception, once again, I start with AC current just to get the instrument up and running, and so to speak, to develop the scalar energy force field. I've discovered where electricity can be converted to scalar, and scalar can be converted back into electricity. So I've not developed an instrument yet that can just absorb sun energy and drive a motor. I want to be able to do that someday. If I can do that someday, we'll solve the energy crisis.
Right. Well, cool. It never occurred to me that, because I mean, I'm aware that the physical body is like the last representation of energy that we're working with. That is us. It starts with the ethereal first. Some people call it spirit, the
Yes,
energetic conscious realm you're talking about.
yes,
And the information is stored there and it trickles down into our physical body and causes problems, ailments, what have you.
yes.
Um, Never occurred to me that we could take, but I mean, and it feels far-fetched that you can use a photograph to work on all this, but it is all just information and coding. It's kind of like we're living in a giant computer and you take the code from, you just copy and pasted that code from point A and brought it over here to point B to work on it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. What is my photograph? There's two toms. This is my bilocated version. This is the physical, biological tom. This is the energetic, etheric tom. Both entities report to one another simultaneously. Whatever my heartbeat is, my photograph will pick up. If I'm in a good mood, my photograph will register a good mood. My blood type is registered on my photograph. Yeah, I mean everything that I'm saying. My organ function is registered on my photograph. It's a source of information. It's a light code. A photograph is a signature of light. And you understand that. So looking at the universe, you always have to boil it down to what? The fundament of the universe is energy, light.
Mm.
Everything is energy, light. I don't care if it's a baseball team. I don't care if it's your pinky. I don't care if it's the apple tree in your backyard. Everything has its beginning in light energy. My photograph, a piece of paper, still has its beginning in light. That light is my light. So instead of people traveling to my instrument, they send their light, their substitute, which is their photograph, to my instrument. I've never worked with a person in my life because I don't work at the biological level. I work at the etheric level.
That's cool. Um, Quantum entanglement.
Mhm. That's what we're speaking about. Now, is this, let's say I was 1,000 miles away and somebody was in my laboratory treating my photograph. Well, apparently there's a quantum entanglement, a connection between me or people 1,000 miles away and the instrument. I place that collage inside the instrument of different people. Obviously, they're not in my laboratory. but their energy field is in my laboratory. How? There's quantum entanglement between the photograph and the person. Quantum entanglement is not only real, it's most necessary in a universe. The universe has to communicate instantaneously. Otherwise, you would not have an organized, coherent universe. Quantum entanglement is a necessity. It's essential, crucial. You have to have quantum entanglement.
Everything would just fall apart if not.
Exactly. Everything would lack intelligence, would lack coherence. The stars always have to communicate with one another. All atoms have to communicate with one another. This shows the divine intelligence behind everything. Quantum entanglement is necessary. Without it, forget it. Forget it.
We could dissect it even further to say that aside from the machine and the photograph, but I keep relating it back to Reiki. It just feels like the exact same thing, but using a machine instead of I feel like using Reiki has two parts. It has you and it has the client. And then with this, it has four parts. It has you and it has the client and it has the machine and it has the photograph.
Yeah, that's a good point because obviously I never work with people. I work with a photograph, they're substitute. Now, the fact that I can work with a photograph proves teleportation. People teleport to this laboratory. When I place my photograph inside there, or anybody's photograph inside the instrument, it's still their quantum field that's in my instrument. They might be in Europe or halfway around the world. What's the point? Those people have teleported to my laboratory in a quantum sense.
Right. No, scientifically, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to teleport. I was just explaining this to my children just the other day.
Yeah. And teleportation is real because thinking is teleportation. When we think, we might think of a distant galaxy. We might think of somebody halfway around the world. Isn't that teleportation? You might say, I'd like to be in India right now. Well, you just teleported to India by way of your mind.
Mm.
Maybe not physically, but teleportation has been with us all along. The, we'll eventually understand how to move the human body as we can move a human thought.
Mm.
Teleportation is normal. You ever think about, well, oh boy, I'd like to go on vacation in such and such a place. Your mind is already there. You've already teleported there. So if your mind can do it, well, why can't we do it with a photograph? We can.
Yeah. Um, that's why meditation's so powerful because your mind believes anything that you decide that is true. So you can totally, we go through these guided meditations and take you into a forest or the beach and suggest that you feel the sun beaming down on you. And you feel that sense of warmth and it washes over you. And it is a very real experience. And that's why the perpetuation of trauma is just the reliving it in your brain, in your mind over and over again. You're still living in the past. That is essentially time travel, teleportation, all of the same. Um, yeah. Quantum tunneling also.
Yes, there's a good point. Let me expand upon that. Tunneling, is that possible? I believe so. I believe scalar energy is a vortex, and that within that tunnel, you are quantum tunneling. I'm going to show the audience a photograph. That is a scalar wave. It's a double helix. There's a Tesla coil at the very bottom that's broadcasting skyward a double helix. It's a tunnel. It's a double helix.
What is this a photo of though? It looks like the pyramid.
It is. No, good point.
Is
That's
it
a
just
Tesla.
a pyramid or like the
That's a
pyramid?
No, it's a man-made miniature pyramid.
Okay.
It's a Tesla coil surmounted by a copper pyramid. And what's emanating from it is a double helix. And I guess we could call that quantum tunneling. It is a tunnel within that, if you will, perfect double helix configuration. It's a miniature pyramid. By way of time-lapse photography, they've caught a scalar wave, a double helix. That is quantum physics. This is the quantum realm of perfection. It's not electricity. And this tunneling allows us to achieve incredible results inside the tunnel. Outside is electromagnetic. Inside that tunnel is perfection, perfection, perfect soul, mind, and body, perfection.
So tell us more about this photograph. Was this something that you took? Is this an experiment that you did, or
No, no. A scientist took this by way of time-lapse photography.
just a regular camera?
No, I believe it's curling photography. And in so doing, they developed this where they could see, you can actually see there's a minor groove and a major groove to the waveform. And in so doing, that is one of the few photographs I've ever seen of the double helix, of the perfect quantum tunneling, as you put it, that we now realize is another dimension. What am I getting at? There's two dimensions, there's two realities. So the world that we live in, that most people recognize, is the electromagnetic dimension. That's fine, but there's something so much more. The other dimension is far superior to electricity and magnetism. Far, far superior. Now, I want to go back and take a quick look once again and say, maybe that's why we have chakra alignments. Maybe that's the point behind chakras, which spin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to align this so the audience can take a good look. This double helix spins, quantum tunneling. Our chakras, our 7 chakras spin. I believe the 7 chakras are in line by scalar energy. So the tunnel, the quantum tunneling, tunnels through our chakra system. And there's a great merit to those who are in the healing arts who realize that the chakras are responsible for sending information throughout our body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use the chakra system with my clients specifically.
It's very real. It's very real. And this, again, it opens up a new branch of physics. Now, I want to make this very clear. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I don't have to be. I don't want to be. And I don't want to besmirch anybody in the medical field. They're working at the biological level. I want to work at the level of intelligence. I'd much rather work with a photograph because I can do so much more with a photograph than I can with a biological person. We must realize that the biological person is the end point. It's the end result.
Mm-hmm.
It's the effect. It's not the cause. Why don't we work with energy that's the cause that eventually transcends to our biological? It's so much easier, no hard feelings here, so much easier driving the car by way of intelligence than having to work with the physical body and pushing the car.
Mm-hmm.
Why not be in control of soul, mind, and body with intelligence, energy, rather than having to once again manipulate what's wrong on the physical realm?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a fundamental change, you don't make it on the physical realm. That's the end result. You make a fundamental change at the cause that transcends to the effect at the level at the causal level.
It kind of removes the human aspect too, which can be really interfering with the progress.
Yes, that's brilliant of you. I call my program divine intelligence. There's no human reasoning. Once I turn this instrument on and this energy is being downloaded, that divine helix is being downloaded into people through the photograph, through consciousness, in their etheric plane, their photographic force field, call it what you will, the universal force field, nothing can go wrong. It's perfect intelligence, it's perfect information. And if nothing can go wrong, that's perfect health.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've achieved. I mean that quite literally. Perfect health. I've come out with this new enhanced program, Divine Intelligence. I've had sports injuries and I had a back injury for years. My back pain is reduced significantly simply by having this energy every morning download into my chakra, my soul, mind, and body. Imagine that. No, I didn't change my diet. I haven't seen a chiropractor. I still stretch, I still exercise, but my back pain is reduced significantly through intelligence, through this energy that's so strong it can illuminate a light bulb. But why can't it correct my spine? It has. Actually, my spine was misaligned. My spine now has corrected itself through energy. It's fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah, these things are possible. There's a lot of skeptics still out there, but we're bridging the gap between the woo-woo is the only word that people can really come up with, and the scientific. And quantum physics is doing that for us for sure. Are you familiar with there was a machine, and I'm scraping the edges of my memory to try to remember what it was. It's what organi Orgon originated from, but there was a machine. It worked with electromagnetics, and he was putting people in it and healing them completely of things like this, with things
Wilhelm,
like this.
Wilhelm Reich. Yes,
Okay.
and he was working with the Oregon accumulator or the Oregon instrument, and he found that this collection of scalar energy within that environment, like this environment, Oregon energy is scalar energy, is chi or prana.
Okay, so same thing.
Yes, it's all, there's only two energies, Oregon energy or electricity. You have two choices. There's only two energies. Wilhelm Reich was working with an Oregon accumulator or some type of instrument where you could place yourself inside this instrument. There would be a preponderance of scalar energy, Oregon energy, and after a while you'd come out and you'd feel better. Why? Well, it was simply the energy that corrects. The energy is self-correcting. There's no human input. And hence, those in your audience are looking for something without pills, chemicals, without surgery, without anything that's going to be considered to be invasive. Why not use this energy approach? It's sublime. It's painless.
Hmm.
People simply send me their photograph and say, Tom, go ahead. Simple.
Yeah, what got me into all of this natural holistic healing alternatives was won't help or won't hurt might help. So why not try it?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. No, and again, this is not to be in any way show that we're disconcerted with
I'm having trouble hearing you.
oh, I'm sorry. This in no way is to talk ill of the medical community, but there has to be a new approach. Okay, I can't emphasize this enough. And just use this logic. If the physical body is the effect at the very end, And if we can command the physical body with energy intelligence, why work with the effect? Why not correct it beforehand? So my work hopefully will be considered to be preventative in the future.
Yeah, and
Um,
supportive.
and supportive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know it's very difficult. Once people are in poor health, how does the effect act upon the effect? In other words, how does surgery or how does pharmacology affect the effect? I'd rather have the cause work upon the effect. So again, not to besmirch the medical community, but they're going about it the wrong way.
Mhm.
Okay, if you want to make a fundamental change, you don't do it with the effect. You make a fundamental change with the cause, which is energy.
Yeah, no, we don't want to bash the medical system or doctors or anybody that's a part of all of that, but it is hugely outdated. And there are I could do a whole episode on this alone about how not only do you have universities that are teaching the doctors via their own agenda. So, the universities and whoever funds those has a say in how the doctors doctor. And you'd be surprised at the ties to pharmaceutical companies you got at the front end of that, as well
Yes.
as doctors who are just kind of set in their ways. We put them up on a pedestal, but they are human just like the rest of us. And the medical field transforms and moves and develops so quickly that it's really, really hard to keep up with, especially when you have so many patients that doctors are notorious for not having the time that they really need to spend with each patient to understand what's going on with them. Most doctors don't even ask about lifestyle and diet. They just here's a pill and they move on because they don't have time, because they're people too, because they have a life outside of being a doctor. And so we have evidence of practices being not only unhelpful, but downright harmful that are still common practice standard on every patient in certain fields.
Yep. Yep. And I agree with all what you just said. And it is outdated. Let's just say it's outdated in many ways, and we need a new approach. That's the point of my work, of my discoveries. I want to present my work to the general public. For instance, I've developed a technique with this instrument. There's so many techniques. I'm just going to speak about a few of them. If I hold up a photograph of the herpes virus and I place that photograph by my photograph, now consider this as intelligence information. The information of herpes downloads into my photograph. It's all information, it's not a chemical process. If my photograph had the herpes virus, the instrument would find the herpes virus, the signal of herpes in me, and destroy it, eradicate it, remove it, disassemble it, cure it. So I can take a herpes signature, find it in my photograph, and negate it, remove it, cure it. Now, if I can do that so simply with a photograph, that stands to reason that we're working with intelligence.
Hmm.
Intelligence is the cause, not the biological effect. I only work with the cause. Whatever the biological effect a person has, I can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee in my laboratory that I can look for the herpes virus inside the universal force field, inside my quantum field, and remove it with this instrument.
Would the person's belief system affect this at all?
Yes, many times it does, but it's not dependent upon their belief system because I work with infants and I've also worked with the animals, and the animals have no idea that I'm treating them. I've worked with, for instance, I've worked with a kangaroo, a few kangaroos in Australia, and people sent me photographs of kangaroos. And after I worked with them for a month or so, the kangaroos no longer had an infection. Now, the point is this. I believe that a person's belief system will accelerate the healing, will promote it, will at least coincide with the healing. Is it necessary? No, because light does not distinguish one's belief. Light is fundamental. Light does not recognize one's religious belief, philosophical belief, or their belief in technology, if you will.
So you could send in a picture of somebody in your family and, you know, do you need to know what's going on with the person?
No, I don't. That's what I like about my work. There's no human reasoning. And again, I'm not. I want to be very clear. I'm not a medical professional. The energy is the healer. It's really the light of Christ. I'm working with God's divine light. Light is healing. I simply place a person's photograph inside that instrument, and I could walk away for an hour or two, and the light is sending this, if you will, this information, this intelligence to heal.
So the person doesn't even need to know it's happening at all.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
right.
can target things with adding the extra picture of the problem,
Yes, yes.
but it's not
This,
necessary.
it, it, let me say this. One of the functions that I've perfected, if I can target a microbe through a photograph, I can guarantee that that microbe will be obliterated, destroyed on the photograph. And as a result, people sent me testimonies. They said, yes, Tom, it worked. Here's one of the testimonies, the PCR test. After working with this person who had herpes for years, this person no longer has a viral load. But to be clear, I have to wait for people's testimonies because that's all I have. There's no way to prove or disprove my work. Nobody can prove or disprove a photograph. And this is such a new science that there is no testing method for what I've developed. Nobody can test, prove, or disprove my work. It's brand new. It's cutting edge.
Yeah, which is what's been so difficult about it for so long because we've had accounts of stuff like this for a while. And people have had, we mentioned Tesla, we mentioned the Oregon guy. There was another person who, again, I'm terrible with names unless they're like undeniable. But the going back to the picture that you had of the pyramid, there was this guy, however many years ago, that discovered the shape of a pyramid in and of itself can heal a bunch of things.
Yes.
And he had specifically, I believe, accidentally come across this information when he had set this pyramid shaped cardboard, and that's how we know it's just the shape itself, it's not the material. He had set this pyramid, four-sided pyramid cardboard on top of a razor, a dull razor, and then
Yes.
it had become sharp again.
Yes. I've heard those experiments. Yes. And I've even heard experiments where people have placed, say, fruit inside a pyramid, and the fruit would not decay as quickly as fruit that was outside of the pyramid's influence. So there's something about pyramid energy that could sharpen a dull a razor, or could slow down the chemical decay of a fruit or
Biological material.
yeah, biological life. Very good. So all of this beckons the question: what is it? It's not electricity. It's that simple. It's another force field. There's an electrical force field, sure. Electricity and magnetism is taught by academia, but sadly, we're not teaching scalar energy. Why? It's a threat. That's why.
That is exactly why it's too empowering to the people, and the people who like to be in power don't. It's dissolving though. Yay, internet.
Yes, it is. It is dissolving. I'm going to hold up a photograph, and I hope this is clear. This is a gigantic plasma tube. I want to mention this. There's a great inventor, his name is Priori, who was able, this is a scalar energy plasma tube. You can see this white table below. Priori was able to place people and animals on that table and cure them of cancer. A gigantic plasma tube, and what I think he had achieved was this incredible double helix energy, I'm just using this as a reference. This double helix would descend from the plasma tube onto this table, and people or animals who were placed underneath the plasma tube were cured of cancer. Now, that was back in the 50s and 60s. So this technology has been around for years, but as you mentioned, this disrupts the military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex does not want this.
Yeah, people think that again, because it is new and cutting edge in the sense of people are starting to take it seriously, but it's not new at the same time. Not only have ancient shamans been practicing things like this, but the Tesla, the Orgone machine, the pyramid thing, all of that occurred in the earlier 1900s, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right. You know, we've lost this information for the past 100 years. Tesla was developing scalar energy instruments. Actually, in Colorado Springs in 1899, he conducted incredible uh, experiments. He developed free energy instruments in 1899. He was able to control even lightning bolts, if you will.
Hmm.
Well, where is this research today? It's been seized. The United States government seized his notes and his work.
Hmm. Yes.
That's true.
We're having a lot of CIA documents be declassified nowadays, like slowly, but we're getting there, and a lot of it's blacked out still. But we have the American government has, and not just the American government. There's a lot of accounts that stuff like this is what Hitler was after,
Yes,
the
yes,
information. And if governments, world governments put, see, that's the thing is they've validated it in their seeking of it, but also staged propaganda to make us not believe it so that we wouldn't, because that's how simple it all is to access.
yes.
It's accessible to every single one of us, just normal commoners.
Yep. I'm going to mention a few things. If this is free energy, again, if I can place a person's photograph inside the instrument, the free energy does not need an infrastructure. I don't need satellites, telephone poles, telephone wires, so to speak. I don't need substations. There's no wires whatsoever. You do not need a cell phone tower. What's my point? The infrastructure pre-exists. It's the universe.
Mhm.
Imagine a world in which all telecommunications, all energy transfer does not need a storage tank, a wind farm, a satellite. The universe will allow this energy to travel instantaneously. We don't need infrastructure. That's right. The trillion-dollar infrastructure, the multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure is obsolete.
That,
Is obsolete.
and that's problematic to those who
Yes,
make money from it.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. This energy will change the world. This technology will change the world. And the day is coming when people will finally realize what Tesla had achieved. Another great scientist.
So how did you find yourself here?
Yeah, God gave me the wisdom.
Just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah, I understood, at least conceptually, when I was a teenager, what Tesla was doing. I looked at Tesla's inventions and I said, later in his life now, I said, those are free energy instruments.
Mhm.
I looked at his instruments, there were no wires, there were no motors. So if you don't have wires, you don't have motors, where's the energy coming from?
Mhm.
The stars. The stars are the powerhouse. So even at a young age, I knew that Tesla was on to free energy. Nobody can match Tesla. So in many ways, I'm trying to duplicate what Tesla achieved.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super interesting,
Thank
super
you.
informative. Thank you for sharing it all with us. Anything that you would like to share with the audience before we go?
Savannah, thanks for the audience. Thanks for your time. I'm going to encourage people, go to my website. Anybody can register for free. We have 15 days of free sessions. All you do is email us your photograph. The website is scalarlight.com. If you go to the website, anybody can upload their photograph. You can send your family members and include your pets. For 15 days, we're going to balance your chakras. We will identify and eradicate toxins and microbes, and we'll also assemble nutrients. We can download vitamins into your quantum field. So scalarlight.com, try the 15-day free session. It's free.
Do you have like several of these machines, or do you just have,
Yes,
yeah?
I have many. This is just one of the laboratories. Yes, I have many instruments.
Okay.
I want to work with the world, Savannah. Today in my laboratory, whether it's one person or 100 people, today I was working with 500,000 photographs. These instruments could easily work with 10 million photographs a day. I want to heal the world.
So do I.
Yep.
Is it one photograph per machine, or how much
That,
can one machine
yeah,
handle?
that's a good point. Today, one instrument easily accommodated 500,000 photographs. In a day, I could easily work with one instrument with, say, 10 million, 20 million photographs in one day.
Okay, I guess that's where the collage comes in.
Yes, that's the point. When you miniaturize the photographs, you can afford yourself so many photographs to be placed. I could miniaturize the photographs today, and in this instrument, I could easily place 5 to 10 million photographs simultaneously inside the instrument. The size of the photograph does not matter. All you need is just some representation of a person, which is their skin. You don't need an 8 by 11 piece of paper. You just need a small photograph.
There's something to direct the machine towards.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, cool. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate the interview.
Yes, sir.